organism and machine, and similar distinctions structuring the Western self. It is the simultaneity of breakdowns that cracks the matrices of domination and opens geometric possibilities. Rosie Braidotti, Transversal Posthumanities. I propose instead a new affirmative method of co-construction and expression of vital, neo-materialist locations and perspectives. Built into this project is the question of how to renew the social responsibility of the contemporary humanities outside the jargon of corporate directives by posing questions that have less to do with morality than with ethics. The former deals with rules and regulations, while the latter poses questions of power in the dual sense of entrapment and empowerment. As a discourse about forces and relations, ethics is a transversal concern that exposes the contradictions of the moralization of public life, including scientific research, under neoliberal governance. The posthumanities share a number of assumptions beyond a mere focus on non-human objects of inquiry. First, that the knowing subject is neither man, homo universalis, nor anthropos alone. The knowing subject is no longer the liberal individual, but a more complex transversal ensemble of zoe-geotechno-related factors, which include humans as collaboratively linked to a material web of human and non-human agents. For instance, the subject of knowledge for the digital humanities is AI-mediated. For the environmental humanities, it is Mateo- and hydro-centered. 1186. Living entities are both embedded and embodied, and have relational and affective powers. As such, they are capable of different things and different speeds of becoming. Subjects defined as transversal relational entities do not coincide with a liberal individual, but are rather ahexeity, which means an event of complex singularities or intensities. Subjectivity is thus both post-personal and pre-individual, and fully immersed in the conditions that it is trying to understand and modify, if not overturn. We are, after all, variations on a common matter. In other words, we differ from each other all the more as we co-define ourselves within the same living matter, environmentally, socially, and effectively. A second crucial feature of the posthumanities, therefore, is that they assert the diversity of zoe, non-human life, in a non-hierarchical manner that acknowledges the differential intelligence of matter and the respective degrees of ability and creativity of all organisms. Zoe geotechno entities are partners in knowledge production, which means that thinking and knowing are not the prerogative of humans alone, but take place in the world. The world is defined by the coexistence of multiple organic species, computational networks, and technological artifacts alongside each other. The term transversality was introduced to psychoanalytic theory and philosophy in the work of Guattari and of Deleuze, and the two together. The concept is meant to delink the force of desire from the Lacanian dialectics of lack and law, and turn it instead towards a neo-Spinozist notion of desire as plenitude. Transversality positions desire as a positive force capable of subverting, but also restructuring relations between entities in the world. In this major shift, unconscious processes get redefined not as the emanation of a centralized linguistic master code, but as the result of collectively enacted material interventions in the world. Unconscious desires are both disruptive and generative. This non-dialectical understanding of desire has important implications for marginalized, underrepresented, and virtual modes of thinking and knowing. What is not yet known, in other words, does not fall into the negative regime of unknowability. It rather remains transversal, virtual, in that it expresses an uncoded, transgressive, and at times illicit mode of knowledge that has not yet received the official seal of approval. It is in the process of being actualized through the collective practice of forming a transversal subject assemblage that can carry out the task of actually implementing new ways of knowing. By extension, transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and post-disciplinary scholars have expertise and know-how without necessarily being disciplinary experts, or in spite of what they may know about the limitations of those disciplines. Marginal knowledge is dynamic, vital, and unruly in its very aspirations to change the rules of the game. This inner tension, and the positive force of the desire that sustains it, articulate some of the shifting ground that constitutes the posthumanities and supports the intense transdisciplinarity they require. The transversal approach has proved inspirational for posthuman pedagogy and education by building on the idea of subject formation as an event that takes place transversely between nature-technology, male-female, black-white, local-global, present-past, and assemblages that flow across and displace binary oppositions. Posthuman critical thinkers and educators situate themselves in and as part of the world, defending an idea of knowledge production as embedded, embodied, effective, and relational. The emphasis on vital neo-materialism, which provides the ontological grounding for critical posthuman scholarship as a transversal field of knowledge, is also a way to resist the business model of neoliberal higher education. Posthuman transversality was developed as an organizational principle that criticizes this pyramidal academic structure and the hierarchical chain of command at the core of most institutions of higher learning. It also calls into question the role of capital in higher education, designed as a global market, and the unequal labor relations it engenders, with a vast precariat at the bottom of the academic scale. For most participants, the reality of an academic education today is a high debt and underemployment. Practices of community-driven transversality are the antidote to the corporatization of the university and the monetarization of knowledge, in that they introduce a non-hierarchical model of relationality and the gratuity of effect in education. As Asperg, Kovac, and Johnson and Leakey suggest, the posthumanities foreground postdisciplinarity as a transformative principle to destabilize the hegemonic power of distinct disciplines and the hierarchies of knowledge that structure the academic divides between the human, social, and natural sciences. New institutional modes and methods of organizing posthuman knowledge need to unfold in transversal conversations through collaborative, shareable academic spaces where community work can be enacted in a non-competitive frame. This emphasis on the politics of immanence allows the inclusion in education of non-anthropomorphic elements, be it animals, natural entities, or technological apparatuses. Zoageo-techno-transversal entities allow us to think across previously segregated species, categories, and domains. Transversality facilitates links to animality, to algorithmic systems, to planetary organism on equal but rhizomic terms that involve territories, geologies, ecologies, and technologies of survival. It relocates both students and educators into the very world they are trying to learn about. Multipolar climate studies.